History isn't just a collection of dusty dates and forgotten kings. Oh no, it's far more thrilling than that. It is a grand, sprawling narrative, a story whispered from one generation to the next. And what gives this story its power, its very pulse? The words. Think of those famous quotes that send a shiver down your spine. Veni, vidi, vici, declared Julius Caesar. These fragments of the past are not mere echoes, they are time capsules, carefully packed and sent sailing across the centuries. The act of preserving these stories is one of humanity's most vital and most dramatic undertakings. Long before keyboards and printing presses, the entire weight of human knowledge rested in the hands of a special few, the scribes. Their tool was a simple reed stylus, and their canvas was a damp slab of clay. With deft, precise movements, they would press wedge-shaped marks, cuneiform, into the soft surface. In ancient Egypt, the medium was different, but the mission was the same. Here, the scribe's domain was the papyrus scroll. With brushes made from fine reeds, they would paint intricate hieroglyphs, a beautiful and complex system of pictures and symbols. Whether working with clay and stylus or papyrus and brush, the ancient scribe performed a sacred duty. Their hands, though long returned to dust, are the very reason we can read the story of our beginnings. Now let's travel forward in time to the Roman Empire, to the clandestine gatherings of the earliest Christians. Here the act of writing took on a new, urgent purpose, to preserve the words and deeds of a figure they believed to be the Son of God. Picture a small hidden room somewhere in Jerusalem or Antioch, lit by the flickering warm glow of a single oil lamp. The scratching sound of the quill on the parchment is the only noise, a quiet act of faith against the vast, uncertain darkness outside. These texts were then painstakingly copied by hand, over and over again by believers in scattered communities. Each copy was a precious object, read aloud in secret meetings, its words offering hope and a sense of shared identity. Languages are more than just tools for communication, they are vessels of culture, philosophy, and history. In the grand story of preservation, three ancient tongues stand as colossal pillars: Hebrew, Greek, and Latin. Let's start with Hebrew, the sacred language of the Old Testament. Its angular, elegant script was used to record the laws of Moses, the prophecies of Isaiah, and the Psalms of David. Then we have Greek, the language of philosophy, drama, and the New Testament. It was the tongue of Plato and Aristotle, a language capable of expressing the most subtle arguments and abstract concepts. By writing the Gospels in Greek, the apostles ensured their message could transcend its Jewish origins and speak to a global audience. Finally, there is Latin, the language of empire, law, and order. As Rome expanded its dominion, Latin became the administrative language of a vast territory. After the fall of Rome, Latin didn't die. Instead, it was adopted by the Roman Catholic Church, becoming the universal language of scholarship for over 1,000 years. For most of human history, our stories lived only on the air. They existed in the breath of the storyteller, the memory of the elder, and the ear of the listener. A skilled bard could hold an entire tribe's history in their mind, reciting epic poems like the Iliad or the Odyssey for hours on end. The transition from this vibrant world of sound to the silent, static world of text was one of the most profound revolutions in human consciousness. Writing allowed for a new kind of permanence and objectivity. A story, once written down, was fixed. The authority shifted from the charismatic elder with the strongest memory to the silent text that could be consulted by anyone who could read. The written word could travel across vast distances and time without changing, creating a sense of connection between people who would never meet, a civilization built on shared texts. The earliest written records were not books as we know them, but objects of immense character and ingenuity. Two of the most important early formats were the scroll and the clay tablet. They were the administrative backbone of the world's first cities. Imagine a bureaucrat in ancient Uruk making a note of how many jars of grain were received into the temple storehouse. The scroll offered a different kind of experience. Used by the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans, the scroll was typically made from papyrus, a reed that grew plentifully in the Nile Delta. The famous Library of Alexandria was said to have housed hundreds of thousands of these scrolls, a breathtaking collection of the world's knowledge. They were stored in shelves of cubbyholes, often with a small clay or wooden tag, a syllabus, hanging from the end to identify the contents. This was the ancient world's card catalog system. Reading was a two-handed physical engagement with the text. There was no skipping to a favorite chapter, one had to journey through the text sequentially. With the decline of the Roman Empire, the great public libraries of the ancient world fell into disuse. For centuries, the flickering flame of literacy and learning was kept alive in the Christian monastery. Their mission was not just to copy texts, but to beautify them, to transform the book into a sacred object, a vessel of divine truth. This gave rise to one of the most breathtaking art forms of the Middle Ages, the illuminated manuscript. The term illuminated comes from the use of gold or silver leaf, which would catch the light and make the page appear to glow. Scribes would create intricate capital letters, elaborate borders filled with swirling vines and mythical creatures, and even miniature paintings depicting biblical scenes. The creation of these books was an act of profound religious devotion. The monk would begin by carefully ruling the blank vellum page with faint lines to guide his writing. This was a collaborative, slow, and expensive process. A single large Bible could take years to complete and require the skins of over 250 calves. For thousands of years, the story of preservation was one of painstaking manual labor. Every single copy of a book had to be written out by hand. This made books rare, expensive, and the exclusive property of the rich and powerful. Knowledge was a trickle, controlled by a select few. But in the mid-15th century, in a workshop in Mainz, Germany, a goldsmith named Johannes Gutenberg perfected an invention that would change the world forever. The genius of Gutenberg's invention was the movable type. Individual letters were cast in metal, arranged to form words, lines, and pages. The press could produce hundreds, even thousands of identical copies in the time it took a scribe to produce just one. Suddenly, the trickle of knowledge was about to become a flood. The cost of books plummeted, and they became accessible to a rapidly growing literate class. This was the ultimate democratization of history. From the printing press, the story of preservation accelerates into the modern era. The explosion of printed material created a new challenge: how to collect, organize, and store this deluge of information. These are not just buildings full of old books, they are modern fortresses of knowledge employing armies of librarians, archivists, and conservators dedicated to the science of preservation. But today, we face a new preservation crisis, one that is perhaps the most daunting yet: the digital deluge. We create more information in a single day than our ancestors did in centuries, yet it is terrifyingly fragile. Digital formats become obsolete, servers crash, files become corrupted, and links break. Safeguarding history is not an act of nostalgia. It is an investment in the future. The records we save are the evidence that allows us to hold power to account, to understand our cultural identity. Every rescued manuscript, every digitized newspaper, every archived email is a thread in the vast, intricate tapestry of our shared human story, a story that we have a solemn duty to protect and pass on.